Oh my God, you guys come in here, sit down, and shut the door. I know you are still reeling from the federal government dropping major, the most emotionally charged offenses against Diddy. And I put my ear to the ground and I'm seeing what is being said. But here's the thing we have to talk about, just keep your mind open, because at this point, we have to talk about everything, not just the things that we know, not just the things we want to believe, but what actually may be happening. Now, we need to talk about Diddy and how what the feds did might be his road to pardon. Okay, here's the truth. Everyone's whispering, but no one's saying outright did. Did he cut a secret deal with the feds? I know, I know, I know. But hear me out. Just because the government just be, well, okay, hear me out. Let me organize the thoughts. Let's get into this because the government just dropped all the state charge kidnapping, attempted arson,
Present, and no
aiding,
longer has a voice who will
smacks,
pursue justice for her
trafficking,
accusation.
gone, and all that's
As
left
of
are
the Aiken
federal
against
charges.
Diddy,
And if
no
you've been paying
expansion of the
attention,
investigation,
you already
no
know
isolation
you
orders,
can't be pardoned
no
for
equipment
state
access,
convictions,
no
but you
suspension
can
of
be
attorney
pardoned for federal
communication.
ones. And our president has signaled that if he sees evidence that Sean Diddy Coleman's was being treated unfairly, he would consider a pardon. Those were his words, not mine. Google it. And I didn't want to believe the whispers at first, but y'all, they're getting louder. What if the feds want this case to be federal only? And what if did he gave them something or some behind closed doors? And if so, what does this mean for justice, for the victims, and for the truth? Don't worry, y'all. I got the receipts. I got the legal play by play, and I'm gonna walk you through everything the headlines won't tell you. Y'all, let's go. Okay. Now, just to catch you up to speed, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, late money prosecutors dropped some of the most dramatic charges against Sean Diddy Coleman's. You guys know that was the attempted kidnapping under California and New York law, attempted arson, and aiding sex trafficking. Okay, now officially they're calling it streamlining of jury instructions. But off the record, in back rooms, people are nervous. They're whispering and they're wondering, because this isn't just about legal strategy. This might be about a secret deal. Think about it. The state charges were the most graphic, most specific, and the hardest to erase. With a pin stroke, you can't get a presidential pardon for state conviction. But for federal charges, you can. Okay, since they've erased all state and they only leave federal quest standing, you have to question, did he hand over names, locations, or footage that helped build a bigger case? And is this the price of playing with power? At this level, protection in exchange for silence. Because here's the dangerous truth. If this was a quiet cooperation deal, it helps Diddy in more ways than one. First, it makes him look less dangerous. See you guys, no kidnapping, no arson, just your friendly neighborhood pervert. Second, it creates the appearance that the case is weakening. Just appearance softening public outrage, just in time for the defense's big finish, which is their closing argument. And third, and this is the part people are forgetting, it opens the door to a future pardon. Remember, federal crime can be erased by a presidential signature, but state convictions sit. So the question becomes, did the federal government just remove the only thing standing between Diddy and a clean political escape? And while we're asking these questions, listen, where? Because some people are like, oh, don't worry, the state's gonna bring up charges. Well, I have a question. Where are the state prosecutors? Why haven't California and New York DA stepped up and said, we'll pursue those charges ourselves? Their silence speaks volumes, and I'm gonna walk you through everything. Whether it's legally possible for Diddy to cut a deal without public knowledge, how a presidential pardon could play out, and why the absence of state level action right now is either strategy or surrender. You guys stay with me, because once you understand this map, you'll see exactly what path they might be paving.
Present,
Okay,
and no
okay,
longer has a
let's walk
voice
you
who will
through this
pursue
like it's a
justice
legal
for her
trademark.
accusation.
The feds dropped only
As of the Aiken
state-based
against
crimes,
Diddy,
not federal.
no
Attempted
expansion of the
kidnapping,
investigation,
attempted
no
arson,
isolation
and aiding
orders,
smacks
no equipment
trafficking.
access,
They kept the
no
federal
suspension of
recall,
attorney
federal
communication.
smacks trafficking, and forced labor obstruction, labor and obstruction of justice. Now, what's the legal significance of that? State crimes can't be pardoned by the US president, federal crimes can. The fact that only unpardonable charges were removed raises the questions. Why? And why? Now, some people said, now here's the thing. You have to keep in mind these aren't state prosecutions. They're federal prosecutors trying to use state criminal statutes to help make their case. Now that was rare. It's legal, but it's also very messy. Why did they include them? Because sometimes state definitions cover gaps that federal law doesn't, especially when it comes to violent, coercive conduct. So the $1 million question, if Diddy is cooperating, why drop the state-based counts? Well, here's the plausible cooperation logic. State law-based charges are easier to drop quietly. They aren't the headline. Federal charges like RICO and SMEX trafficking. Dropping them gives defense a visible win without touching the big federal accounts, which the feds still need for leverage, and it signals progress in cooperation without confirming it. No paperwork has to be filed publicly at this stage, so they may have dropped. The drop charges may have been a symbolic trade-off. Help us with X, Y, and Z, and we'll make sure those state charges don't follow you after the trial. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people said, like, Robin, my girl Robin, said, but wouldn't cooperation be on public record? Well, you guys, yes and no, or actually not yet, and sometimes not ever, depending on how the deal is structured. Cooperation agreements are often under seal to protect against active investigations, ongoing targets who might not know they're being watched, and safety of the cooperator. The public usually doesn't find out until sentencing, when the prosecution says Mr. Cohn provided substantial assistance. We recommend a lighter sentence, under 5K 1.1. That's the federal formal snitch card. So right now, if Diddy is cooperating, they wouldn't want it to be on record again. Taking it to legal deals with cooperators are often sealed under Rule 6E criminal procedure. Grand jury materials, informant deals, and cooperation agreements can be kept secret for national security, safety, or investigative reasons. United States veto courts actually upheld, and this is a 1995 Second Circuit decision. So it rules this case. Courts upheld sealing cooperate deals to protect identities and preserve ongoing investigations. So yes, Diddy could be cooperating without us ever seeing it publicly. And again, don't forget, cooperating with feds doesn't always look like testifying. It can mean providing names, documents, devices, and even helping decode encrypt evidence. In cases like Operation Varsity Blues, celebrities helped without testifying, but their cooperation was rewarded behind the scenes. This keeps reputations intact and protects the government's leverage in ongoing investigations. Now, the state may stay quiet on purpose. State prosecutors in New York and California have said nothing about refiling or pursuing these drop charges. Why? Possibilities. Let's go through them. The feds asks them to stand down during an ongoing broader federal probe. If Diddy is helping build bigger cases, filing state charges too early could expose cooperative witnesses, including Diddy, and political coordination between the DOG and the state AGs is common when elite defendants are
present,
involved.
and
Now,
no
this
longer
does
has a
mirror
voice who will
silent
pursue
cooperation
justice for
deals
her
in major
accusation.
cases. Tekashi
As of the
69,
taken against Diddy,
he cooperated
no expansion
secretly.
of the
Feds
investigation,
minimized
no
his
isolation
charges.
orders,
no
no
early
equipment
leaks.
access,
Public found
no
out after
suspension of attorney
sentencing. Let's
communication.
also not forget Sammy, the Bull Gravano's case. Murder charges dropped because he gave up the entire Gambino hierarchy. We see the pattern. Drop some charges, now protect informant, cash out later. And let's also not forget that the presidential pardon angle is real. Trump pardoned multiple federal criminals with no public reasoning, including Rob Bagoli, the former Illinois governor convicted of corruption, Michael Flynn, who actually lied to the FBI, and Kodak Black and Lil Wayne under federal gun charges. If Diddy is only convicted on federal charges and keeps political connection strong, Trump, or even a future president, could wipe the all out away in the future. That's why the removal of state charges matters so much. There's also strategic optics. Listen, they are saying that a softened defendant makes pardon easier. There's no kidnapping, no arson, no physical violence in charges anymore. The public of OptShift, from monster predator to music mogul, who made mistakes, it's a softer image. It makes it easier for a future president to justify a pardon, especially if Diddy claims he was targeted or canceled. You guys, this is a gamble, but we have to be honest. If you look at legal precedences, we've seen it before. Similar federal simplifications were made in Young Thug's trial. The overcomplication led to chaos, and in the Harvey Weinstein retrial, feds narrowed the scope when cases got too emotionally driven or shaky. The strategy is go big or go home. But when you lose nuance, you also risk losing the jury. You guys, again, we are on edge. We're going into court today. They are going to have a legal battle from 12,000 to 5,000. We're going to be in there, covering everything. But again, this is all just theory. Okay, because nobody really knows what happened. But all we know is the feds just quietly removed the only charges that couldn't be erased by a president's pen, and no one's saying why, and Diddy gave them names, documents, or passwords. That deal could stay still forever. But what's not sealed is the fact that the state is saying silent, and that silence may be the loudest clue yet. You guys listen. I'm gonna be dropping a bunch of videos today. We're gonna get into this. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna have another video up. Probably by the time you are done listening to this, I will talk to you guys soon. Alright, stay straight, it's going down, but we need to make sense of what's going on. And I hope these videos are helping you along the way. I'll talk to you all soon.